the speeds were a lot quicker.
Well, there's no question.
Yeah,
They
because
should have been.
cars were sticking so much better to the track. They had so many caution flags to begin with. I thought the race was never going to really get started.
Concrete barrier down there instead of them big tires.
I think that changed it a lot too.
Well, it might have changed it a lot, but it bit the 54 car.
That was the only excitement I got to see.
Yeah,
the 4 car came in on the inside, running looked like 50 mile an hour faster than everybody else.
It'll age a little bit with that sun and everything out there, and
the track will be slower the next time we go back.
Somewhat slower, but probably the wine will be about the same for you, won't it?
What I didn't drink up will still be there.
Okay, bud.
We're going to try it again, right?
Yeah, you've been out in wine country. Did you figure that wine out there is better than North Carolina wine?
No, I didn't figure. I checked a bunch of places out, but it wasn't any better than Carolina wine.
Okay, they had a
race.
And a new surface. So was you prepared for that? I didn't know they had repaved it till I seen on television.
We'd been out there before.
Okay.
And the speeds were a lot quicker.
Well, there's no question.
Yeah, because
they should have been.
Cars were sticking so much better to the track.
You know, the 42 and the 43 practice. I watched practice and qualifying. Of course, qualifying was taped, so I didn't know what happened, and I can't believe how bad they were. But in general, the Toyotas weren't that good.
Weren't good.
Okay, but I don't know what the deal was.
The 45 started off real good the first run, but they had so many caution flags to begin with. I thought the race was never going to really get started. You know, I was down in turn 11. I wasn't able to see any of the race, so I'm going to have to depend on you because we was down there entertaining people. And so the only part of the race I really got to see was probably the last 20 or 30 laps, and that's when the race really turned into a race.
Well, that's what people are saying about racing in general now. Just tune in for the last 30 or 40 laps, and that's what you get. But they had put that concrete barrier down there instead of them big tires. And
I think that changed it a lot too.
Well, it might have changed it a lot, but it bit the 54 car because he knocked his right front off getting too close in the middle of that corner. And
so that's what happened to him. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, and of course the 11 car, Richard, only run 2 laps, and I mean it wasn't no question about no valve or nothing. He blew the motor, and I don't know where it was shifting or he missed a shift or not.
At that time, the 42 spun out or done something, messed up a bottom A-frame, so his steering was bad the rest of the race.
His day was messed up, but I think he got in Denny Hamlin's oil, so that eliminated. But no matter what, a strategy made a big part of it, and there at the end, the 5 car, he had 13 lap better tires, and his strategy worked out good. And
well, I think the 43 strategy was really good because later on in the race, everybody was going to have to stop twice except the 43 car.
Yeah, okay.
But the deal was the car was so slow.
He didn't have no speed.
That he didn't have any speed, so the strategy didn't help anything, basically. But,
you can't be proud of the 19, but if you started 38th, that helps a little bit. But the 19 ran out of gas, and he went across the start-finish line using a starter, and I don't know what gear he is in, but everybody give him a hand. But I guess all in all, Richard, I guess it was a pretty good race. They had that big wreck down there in front of you.
Right. That was the only excitement I got to see.
Yeah,
the 4 car came in on the inside, running looked like 50 mile an hour faster than everybody else, and we got lucky, and the 43 got through there without.
He got through there perfect. Yeah.
So that put him up to 5th or 6th or 7th, and he ran there until everybody started making pit stops.
And the 22 car, he sat on the pole and everything, and
well, he ran good to begin with, but then why did he make all those pit stops?
He got in a wreck.
Oh, okay.
He got in that next wreck.
Okay.
And it tore him up pretty good. So, I'm sure they all had strategy before the race, and it didn't take many wrecks to change all that for a lot of them. But
really, the whole deal, the 5-car was the best car. Okay, I mean, he was,
after all the wrecks settled, he was. But
he was good, the whole deal. But at the end of the race, like you say, he had better tires than everybody. But still, yet he was good the whole race.
Yeah, there's no question about that. But you're talking about the 45 car, Reddick. He made his pit stop and went out. Green flag stop, went out on new tires, and immediately got to racing some of them and locked up the left front real bad. Yeah. And that they said that was enough to flat place a tire.
Yeah, I wondered what happened to him, because he ran pretty good to begin the race.
Yeah, and then of course after all the wrecks settled in the second half and everything, there wasn't no caution.
No,
it turned out to be strategy, and it. But it's what it was, and had a good crowd and everything, looked like, and
it wound up being a good race.
Yeah.
Okay, because everything came down to the last 15 or 20 laps, and the 17 was out front, and the 19 was racing with him while they was busy racing. The 5-car caught up, and then even the 34 car caught up with him.
Yeah,
he
was coming on pretty good.
He came on strong. So, it was just one of the deals that some of the guys, I think, had a little bit better tires right there at the end, and that made a lot of difference.
But, they didn't – I don't know where – they never did show no tires on television. You wasn't where you could see them. But they was a little bit concerned about blistering them. But daggone well with that new surface, Richard, they got awful hot. And if they got real hot, they give up a lot. And I don't know what the speeds was, but – the 19 talked about before the race, managing tires, but I think they threw caution to the wind and run just as hard as they could.
Yeah. Everybody qualified every lap.
Yeah, but it'll age a little bit with that sun and everything out there, and
the track will be slower the next time we go back.
Somewhat slower, but probably the wine will be about the same for you, won't it?
What I didn't drink up will still be there.
Okay, but. Now, what side we go to Iowa this week?
And this is a brand new track for all the Cup stuff.
For the Cup stuff,
so this is the first time we've been there with them.
Yeah, you're going. Of course, I'm not going this time. But I've seen the track, and it's a pretty little track. just out in the middle of nowhere, ain't it? Yeah. So, but and it's a Sunday night race,
right?
So
yeah, I didn't realize that, but then you said it's going to be on Sunday night.
Yeah, and we can't get it changed now where you can get home earlier, but I'll watch on television, and you take in what you can. We'll talk about it again next Monday, I hope.
We'll see what happens then. To me, Riverside was a fun track. I really liked that, because and you got to figure in the older days, they didn't have all these fences and things around the racetracks. They had a lot more runoff areas, and part of the track from 2 up to 6 was a bunch of switchbacks. You could just run straight up through, run on dirt, run on the asphalt, run on the dirt. So anyhow, we won 2 or 3 races out there. So we liked that track pretty good.
Seen that track in 1958 with Lee, and we drove the race car from here in Level Cross out there and raced it and drove it home. Drove the race car. But Richard was real good at Riverside, but we tore up so many transmissions, and finally when we got a transmission, which they underneath, he won some races. But I went up in the S's one time to watch him come through, because they said he was pretty much a show, and there was people up there, so help me. They'd say, "Here he come again." They'd go look, and when he'd go through, they'd go sit down and come back, because it's about a minute and a half or something like that. But he was quite a show out there.
Gosh, I don't know. It started off as Lee Petty's Garage or something. I don't know what it is. Changed names a couple of times. It must have been in the late 60s, early 70s. it became Petty Enterprise, I think. And the deal at that time, up until that time, Daddy owned the whole company. And when we changed to Petty Enterprises, then he made myself and my brother Maurice partners. So it was a three-way deal, Petty Enterprise was. It's hard to say. None of them's been there as far with the Cup cars, so you got to learn the track, okay? So the idea of just going to a new track, I always like to go to a new track because Dale usually had the car set up pretty good, and we won a lot of races. The first time we'd go, we'd win races. Then next time we'd come back, then people learn a little bit more, and they'd catch up with us. So it's just going to be new to everybody. I know they've got all their computers, and they figure all the tire wear and the tire pressures, and they think they know what's going on. They know what gears to run, how to set the car up. So it's just whoever gets lucky and sets up, gets the right setup is the one that's going to win the race.
Yeah, they'll look at the computer and learn everything they need to learn. And what all we had, which we're not running now, but the stopwatch. But talking about the gears, NASCAR tells them what gear they can run. That's one thing they don't have to worry about. But should be a good race.